Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behaviour and or comments. The next item on the agenda is public forum, but no one has registered, so the point is moot. The attendance, there are no apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors or councillors-elect, as all councillors-elects are here. There can be no disclosure of interest at this point during the meeting because we're not yet, you're not yet councillors. Item EOM 612201, a declaration of poll for councillors. The report is there before you councillors, and as it's stated on the election day of 4th of December 2021, as declared on the 21st of December 2021, the candidates elected were John Piper, Margaret Rolls, Tony Hewson, Tony Flannery, Greg Armstrong, Joan Mackey, Matthew Stadmiller, Alison Foreman, Brian Ingram, Mary Dodd and Patrick Fitzgerald.
Just a point, Mr. Chair. I spelled incorrectly on the thing. I have a capital F and a capital G in my name.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Take a note of that for future reference, Councillor-elect Fitzgerald. So I won't ask for the recommendation to be put or a motion to be put until such time as you, the councillors, have taken your oath and affirmation of office for councillors. So at this point of the meeting, I will ask each councillor in order, again just for convenience, from the declaration of councillor, each councillor to either take the oath or affirmation. So at this juncture, I'll ask John Piper for your oath or affirmation, please.
I, John Stanley Piper, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and of Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Piper. Margaret Rolls.
I, Margaret Joan Rolls, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Rolls. Tony Hewson.
I, Anthony Michael Hewson, Tony Hewson, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out my functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993.
Thank you, Councillor Hewson. Tony Flannery.
I, Tony Flannery, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretion vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. Greg Armstrong.
I, Gregory John Armstrong, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me and under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Joan Mackey.
I, Joanne Mackey, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Mackey. Matthew Stadmiller.
I, Matthew Stadmiller, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Stadmiller. Alison Foreman. Thank you, Councillor Foreman. Brian Ingram. Please turn on your microphone too. Sorry, councillors.
I, Brian Dennis Ingram, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Ingram. Mary Dodd.
Got it.
I, Mary Dodd, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Dodd. Patrick Fitzgerald.
I, Patrick Fitzgerald, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Hilltops Council local government area and the Hilltops Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald. Congratulations, councillors. At this juncture, still remaining in the chair, I'll now ask you as councillors to move the recommendation for the declaration of the poll for councillors, which is to receive and note the information on the declaration of the poll for the election of the 11 councillors to the Hilltops Council following the general election held on the 4th of December 2021. Do I have a mover? Brian Ingram and Matt Stadmiller. Are there any questions in relation to the declaration? If not, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour?
No.
That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Again, this is really housekeeping at this point. The oath and affirmation of office of councillors, the recommendation is that in accordance with section 233A of the Local Government Act 1993, that councillors have taken and signed either the oath of office or the affirmation of office before the General Manager. Do I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Flannery and Councillor Rolls. Are there any questions in relation to that report? If not, I'll put that. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. now moving along, we will now go to item EOM 6.322/03 for the election of the Mayor. Now, I have at this point received one nomination for Mayor and 2 for Deputy Mayor. Are there any other further? Yes, there is a further nomination. Are there any other nominations for Mayor or Deputy Mayor at this juncture? No, there is not. Okay, so at this point, we have 2 nominations for Mayor and 2 nominations for Deputy Mayor. I will now park the Deputy Mayor and we will focus on the election of the Mayor. We have 2 nominations. We have Councillor Rolls and Councillor Armstrong. So before we move forward, we need to determine the method of the election of the Mayor, which can be by a preferential ballot. Well, that was if there was to be more than 2, so there is only 2, so it would be an ordinary ballot. That can be in secret, or there can be open voting.
I'd like to move, Mr General Manager, that the voting be done in open voting.
Okay, it was moved by Councillor Ingram for open voting. Do I have a
Mr General Manager? Oh, sorry.
Seconder? Tony Flannery for second.
I'd like to foreshadow a motion.
Oh, foreshadow a motion. Yeah, then that motion is Councillor Rolls.
That we decided by ordinary ballot.
Ordinary ballot. Well, it's a foreshadowed motion, so we'll go so. So the motion has been moved for open voting. Those in favour of open voting, please raise your hands. We have 1, 2, 3. Ingram, Flannery and Armstrong. Those against open voting, we have Foreman, Fitzgerald, Rolls, Dodd, McCahey, Stadmiller, Hewson and Piper and Dodd. So that motion is failed, so the foreshadowed motion becomes the motion. Do we have, and Councillor Stadmiller, you seconded that motion, so that's similar. Okay, so now through the ordinary ballot, the candidate with the highest number of votes is elected. So what we will now do is we will give you a sheet, and please put on the piece of paper that our Minute Secretary Deirdre will give to you.
We're voting on the foreshadowed motion, Mr General Manager?
Sorry, Councillor Ingham?
Are we voting on the foreshadowed motion?
Yes, we are. Of course, I'm sorry, Councillor Ingham, you're correct. Those in favour of the motion, which is the ordinary ballot, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For those against, 1, 2, 3. The motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Ingram. So, just to remind, we have the nominations are Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Rolls. So, can you all put, once you have written your selection into the roll? Rolls. 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 Armstrong. Rolls. Armstrong. Rolls. 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 Armstrong. The votes are 8-3. Congratulations, Councillor Rolls. Madam Mayor. I don't know whether you'd like to wait to assume the chair or not, but we will roll on for the Deputy Mayor as a matter of protocol. Okay, so for the election of the Deputy Mayor, similar process that we had. There is the three methods. Well, there is two methods, being the ordinary ballot and the open voting. The Deputy Mayor, Alison Foreman, or the Deputy Mayor, Tony Flannery, are the nominees.
I'd like to move that we open voting.
Open voting. Do I have a seconder for Brian Ingram?
I'd like to foreshadow a motion.
Foreshadow a motion. Okay. So we have a mover and a seconder for open voting. Those in favour of open voting? 1, 2, 3. Being Tony Flannery, Brian Ingram and Greg Armstrong. Those against the motion? Foreman, Fitzgerald, Rolls, Mackie, Stadmiller, Hewson, Piper and Dodd. So that motion is lost. So Armstrong. So the foreshadowed motion was made by Marg Rolls. Do we have a seconder for that motion? It was Matt Stadmiller. Councillor Stadmiller, I'm sorry. The foreshadowed motion becomes... Foreshadowed for the ordinary ballot, wasn't it, Councillor Rolls? Yes, thank you, Councillor Piper. So, those in favour of ordinary ballot, can I see your hands, please? 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. Those against the ordinary ballot, Ingram, Armstrong. Sorry, Councillor Flannery, did you vote? Are you against? Thank you. So that motion is passed. So we will now do it again by ordinary ballot. Again, councillors, it is for Councillor Foreman or Councillor Flannery. Thank you, Deirdre. All right. Foreman. 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 Flannery. Flannery. Foreman. Flannery. Foreman. 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 Flannery. Councillor Foreman, Deputy Mayor Foreman, you have 7 votes, and Flannery has 4. You are now the Deputy Mayor. Congratulations. So thank you, councillors. And just before I do hand over to the incoming Mayor, I did mention just before the meeting there was a call for the nominations for the Goldenfields board elections. It's not quite protocol, however, we do need the nomination so we can prepare the ballot papers, because that is the regulation for the county council. So on that basis, can I just see the show of hands for which councillors are nominating for the board? So I have Councillor Ingram, Councillor Piper, Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Stadmiller. So we have 4. So councillors, you will receive that ballot paper with the 4 names on there. Have we got and I'll just draw them out of the hat now, so in the order in which they do. And that will be in that order for the ballot paper. For that ballot paper, you will number them 1 through to 4. I'll repeat this at the time we get there.
Excuse me, through the Mayor, I think it would be appropriate, given the number of new councillors, to have a bit of a rundown on what's involved in Goldenfields
Well, absolutely.
before we vote.
Thank you.
Perhaps given 2 previous councillors were on the board, some detail of their attendance of their meetings last time.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. The purpose of this is not to conduct the vote now. We will go through the report at the appropriate time. This is just so we can prepare the ballot paper, so we can adhere to the regulations. So, any further ado, first name out is Ingram. The second name out is Armstrong. The third name out is Stadmiller. And therefore the fourth name must be Piper. So that is just the random order of which we've drawn them out of the bowl. So at this juncture, I would like to relinquish the chair to Madam Mayor Rolls. So, without any further ado, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. And first of all, I'd like to welcome all the new councillors. I look forward with optimism, I said before, to this new term of Hilltops. And I think my hope is that all of us can work together for the common good of our beautiful Hilltops region. Congratulations to everybody who has gained the seat at the table, and as I said before, I look forward to a cooperative here with all of us working together around this table. So if we get on with this extraordinary meeting, EOM 6.522-05, meeting dates and times for the ordinary meeting of Council. General Manager, would you like to make any comments about this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What you have before you, councillors, is consistent with the precedent on how Hilltops Council has functioned for certainly the time I've been here, and I understand pre-March 2020, is that there are 11 ordinary meetings in each month, with the exception of January. It's held on the 4th Wednesday of every month at 4:30, and that's what's replicated in the schedule for the 22 calendar year and the 23 calendar year. I will state at this point, councillors, this is always open to change by the majority of councillors. The location of the meetings, just based upon my brief conversation, there was mixed views about whether to continue the practice of rotation of meetings between the Young Chambers, the Burra and Harden Chambers. There was some consideration, given that we only have Zoom technology here, to base it just as Young. However, there was some strong views to continue the rotation. So the recommendation is basically keeping the status quo. On that basis, however, when this was first brought to the attention of the former council, there was to be the monitoring of the public attendance during the meetings across the 3 chambers, for your information, as in for your consideration on whether the rotation was working or necessary. So I've re-put in that recommendation because I understand it was never carried through. So that's monitor the public attendance during the meetings. But at this stage, councillors, It's the status quo for what has certainly happened over the last 2 years. Obviously, all this is subject to change with COVID. However, at this point in time, there you have it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. Can I have someone to move the motion for this recommendation? Do I have a mover? Move the motion and a seconder?
Staden Miller and Mackie.
All right. The mover, would you like to speak to it?
Madam Chair, I'm not sure what I'm meant to call you at this stage. I've had a discussion as to what...
It is Madam Mayor, Councillor
Madam Mayor?
It is Madam Mayor.
What do we call your husband?
Lucky. Madam Mayor's handbag. How about that?
I'll just say, Madam Mayor, look, I'm happy with what's been provided in front of us here, and it doesn't stray too far in any way, shape or form from what we've previously been doing. I do like the fact that we're still trying to keep the major communities engaged with the endorsement of the location of meetings at Youngborough and Harden Chambers in rotation. I think that's important. So that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody like to speak against it? Well, I'll put forward the motion.
Question?
Yes.
Just in regard to the rotation, where the Code of Meeting Practices amended to include participation of those meetings via Zoom, how will those non-Zoom equipped locations facilitate that Zoom attendance?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the only way to facilitate that would be through making a budget bid for the implementation of the capital to equip both the Burra and Harden chambers, or an amending motion at the time should we face that Zoom is an option. At this point, under the current terms, I don't believe it is. However, it may form part of the new Code of Meeting Practice, but that will be a decision of the councillors at that time, whether or not we want to put expenditure towards equipping those other sites. At this point, there is no budget for that. If we come to the point where a Zoom meeting is to be held at the Burra and Harden, I would have that conversation with you, the councillors, to have it relocated here.
Could we have a report back to the first council meeting in regards to this? Because I think that one of the aims of the Phase 2 amendments to the Local Government Act was to enable technology to further improve the services provided by council and facilitate equity in attendance. And this certainly, by failing to have those facilities at Burra and Harden, certainly if a councillor was unable to physically attend, then they would also be unable to attend via Zoom, which would in effect be contrary to the intent of those Phase 2 amendments.
Through you, Madam Mayor, my understanding of the new code is somewhat limited of the circumstances of which Zoom could be used, and my read of it was focused on natural disasters precluding you from being at those. It wasn't just an open...
COVID nearly qualified, wouldn't it? Sorry, Councillor Armstrong. I was just going to say, I think COVID would nearly come under that, wouldn't it? Especially given the current environment.
Certainly, as I said, the public health orders, as I understand it, it's not clear on that, but watch this space. If the public health orders come through as they did over the last 2 years, we'll have a lot of Zoom. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. And I'm confident that we'll be able to work this out in the future. So, put it to the vote. Those in favour accepting the recommendation? All those in favour?
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to EOM 6.6, 22/06, casual vacancies filled by count-back vote or by election.
Move the recommendation.
Happy to second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Mr General Manager, do you want to make any comments on this?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the recommendation is for it to be a count-back. For the simple purpose is elections are very expensive. and this only will come into effect if one councillor here was unable to continue in their function or was precluded from that function. What this would mean was candidates 12 and 13, there would be a process to work out who was the next elect, and then that councillor would be offered the opportunity to attend council. But this allows us not to go for a by-election. It would be very, as I said, it's a very expensive exercise. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Anybody else want to ask any questions on that? All right, if we put it forward, the recommendation, all those in favour?
Unanimous.
Thank you, councillors. If we move to the next, EOM 6.7, 22/07, presentation of the audited financial statements for the year ending 30th June 2021. Once again, Mr. General Manager, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As stipulated, it's been a great achievement from the finance team and dare I say all of the council members to actually have the audited financial statements completed last calendar year. There was a delay, but that was not wholly within our control because some of the additional work that the Audit Office wanted to conduct. Nevertheless, this is the presentation of the accounts. Those accounts have been signed. They are what we call an unmodified set of statements, so they are true and fair, and they have been signed by the Audit Office as such. If you received a modified statement, they may not agree with something that you have done, but we're not in that position. Unfortunately, the presentation of the audit financial statements, it has been precedent. It's allowed under the Local Government Act for the auditor, being the New South Wales Audit Office, to present and discuss these accounts. Unfortunately, their office is closed at this point in time. However, that does not preclude the Audit Office to be invited to a later meeting to give a presentation to you in regard to these accounts, if you so wish.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. And I think many of us here are of the view, especially the new councillors, that we would appreciate that presentation in the future to give a further understanding for all the new councillors and the new mayor as well of the financial statements.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I would then say that in accordance with the local government, the recommendation there, that be that the Audit Office be invited to present at a future meeting in relation to these accounts. I'll just need to talk to them about their availability, subject to the meeting dates that we've just had.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Do I have a mover for these financial statements?
Madam
And
Mayor, will you be taking questions?
yes. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Foreman.
Councillor Foreman.
Councillor Armstrong, a question?
I have a number of questions. I thank the General Manager for his time early today. I had quite a voluminous list, but after talking with him, we've been able to get through some of those. I guess one of the issues that really concerns me is the dramatic decrease in revenue for user fees over the last 4 years. There's been an almost 39% reduction in that. And it's clearly evident that a very large part of that user fees has actually been revenue that's generated through RMS, or Transport for New South Wales, RTA, DMO, whatever you want to call them. The private works for them. It's dropped from $5.9 million back to 1.337, so there's a very considerable decrease in revenue there for council. I'm just wondering what actions have been taken as a result of the November 2021 adoption of measures to improve council's financial position, what actions have been taken in regard to improving both the collection, the raising, the collection of the user charges, and also exploration of opportunities with the RMS, Transport for New South Wales, to improve that figure of 1.337 from last year?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll pass to the Director of Infrastructures to make a comment on the relationship that we have with RMS at this point.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have been working very closely with RMS. We understand.
Through you, Madam Mayor, have they offered complete projects, or has it just been heavy patching work? Because, Madam Mayor, I did state that a number of months ago when they were having those meetings that heavy patching work I would think would be a net cost to us, whereas project work is where you make the money. And if we're only going to be offered heavy patching, we might as well not bother.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery, for your comment. Any more questions?
Yes, in regards
Councillor
to
Armstrong.
pages 83 and 84 of the statements themselves. Page 58 of the statements, 83, 84 of the report. The results by fund. Given the magnitude of the general fund operating loss and the obvious cash bleed that is displayed earlier on in the statements, will the measures adopted by Council in November 2021 go partway to addressing the situation for the current 2021-2022 year?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, they will. As I think the report the councillor is referring to is the 27th October report, which talked about Hilltops' financial sustainability. There has been a recruitment freeze, which was the first one. We have, at that report, there was 42 or 43 vacancies within the structure. I think that number is closer to 50 now. Certainly that's part of our review of the structure, and we need to look at the revised service level within that mix. The numbers currently employed at Hilltops Council are closer to if you just added the 3 former council full-time equivalent employee numbers, it is closer to the same number. It's not totally comparable, which is something that I also mentioned in that report. However, we are revising those service levels. Certainly the other aspect that we talked about was the investigation for the sale of surplus assets. We have done some work in that regard. The majority of land, however, that is within Council's ownership, the majority is classed as community land rather than operational land. Now that's a very important point. Operational land is the buying and selling of that is merely a decision of the people around this table. However, for community land to be considered for sale, surplus or otherwise, there is a lengthy consultation process with the community, because it is community land. It had been deemed at some point in the past for a set purpose in consult with the community, so you have to go through that process. So that is something that we need to consider in that regard. And also what I did mention during that financial sustainability is, notwithstanding the first 5 elements of that document, which is looking at total employment costs, also looking at the use of consultants and contractors, starting the conversation with the community about service levels. There was the 6th arm, which is the work that is still yet to be done with this council, and a discussion with this council about the consideration of a special rate variation. You may have seen recently that the IPART rate peg, the rate peg of which we are pegged to be able to increase rates, is 0.7%. That was set by IPART. There is a lot of conversation around that, and angst, let us say, by many councillors who are faced with, for instance, the local government award for employees mandates that it's a 2% increase in wages. Wages represent some third of our expenses, so you can just you see the arithmetic makes it very, very difficult. So that is a conversation. The question that I was asked in relation to the special rate variation is, it is a conversation and a discussion to be had. There is no decision that's been made. I need to make it clear that all that that financial sustainability it says this is something that we must look at and consider. The decision to go for a special rate variation, according to the current protocol, that would not be done until, not be voted on until November, to indicate to the state government that we are going to consider a special rate variation, and then there would be a second vote in February of next year to actually put the application in. The process then would be, it would be April or May before a determination by IPART to say whether or not the rates for the 2023-24 financial year, I'll say that again, the 24 financial year, can be increased by whatever the would be determined by IPART should it be approved. So I'll just need to stress that it is a long process. So the rate freeze, the looking at any where we can do any sale of assets or surplus assets, that is real and present, and that's something that we must be ongoing for some months yet. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to the General Manager, following on from that then, any shortfall in permissible income in the rating revenue, are we able to pick that up for past years now? I thought that the previous minister had promoted some review and revision that allowed councils to pick up that shortfall after greater than.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I may be on the right point, but I may not, and I'll ask you to correct me if I'm not. My understanding in relation to the backdating or the recovery is only if you didn't take on the full IPART rate at the time. So if it was 2% and you said, oh no, our community can't afford that, we take on 1%, there is the ability, if the IPART rate, well, it's 0.7, if you would be able to put it up 1.7%. That was my understanding of that, but I may not be on the same page as you. Okay, I'm not sure I'm not sure what the rules would be under administration. I think during the time, I don't think the rates could move anything past the IPART rate as given, but if there was a shortfall, I will certainly investigate that if the Hilltops Council at whatever point in time didn't take up the full amount.
As the General Manager, from memory, there was an amount of about $180,000 that wasn't taken up and was funded out of internal reserves, much like the deficits are.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. I'll take that on notice and we'll investigate
Councillor
and
Armstrong,
report back.
who was that done for? By? Sorry?
That was done during whilst Council was in administration.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Ingram. Well, before us, can I just make a comment? Councillor Ingram, would you like to make a comment?
I'd like to draw everyone's attention to page 31 or page 6 of 96 of the financials, Statement of Financial Position. I'm a bit concerned, Mr. General Manager, whether the auditors have got this really wrong. if you happen to go to a line that says borrowings for 2020, it states a borrowing number of $17,184,000. That can't possibly be right. Our local media commentator has told our community that we are $45 million in debt. And if there's one thing I noticed in the lead up to this election for council, is the amount of people in the community who have taken this on board as gospel. Mostly in the same age demographic, but there are other people out there that I did consider intelligent up until recently, when they also contacted me and said, you can't...
Point of order.
Yes, point of order.
What's the point of order?
Making imputation about people's intelligence, thank you.
I never mentioned anyone's name at all.
But I think it was a general statement. Thank you very much.
Okay, take that point on board, Madam Mayor. So I just need some clarification. I thought from Madam Mayor you might be able to clarify for council the level of debt council has and what that borrowings relates to, please, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ingram.
Through you, Madam Mayor, as stated in the financial statements, the $17 million are non-current and for 2020, and the $15 million are non-current are borrowings. That is the extent of the non-current borrowings of Hilltops. It is no other number. I do know there is some been discussion about the deficits being the losses for each and every year, but they are not borrowings. The borrowings are there before you on page 78 of the agenda or page 53 of 96 for the financial statements.
Just through you, Madam Mayor, just the General Manager can just clarify that. What is the total debt outstanding as at the 30th of June 2021 by Hilltops Council?
The sum total borrowings related to the total borrowings for the Hilltops Council. Current borrowings is $1.872 million, and the total borrowings non-current is $15.31 million. So, roughly speaking, just on $17 million in total.
That's the total debt owed by council.
That is correct.
There appears to be a great deal of misinformation.
I trust our wide audience watching on Zoom is listening. We'll say it really slow, Madam Mayor, for a couple of them.
Is that for all funds, Mr General Manager?
That is correct. Through you, Madam Mayor, that is correct. I'm reading from the consolidated financial statement, so that's across all funds. The point you raise, borrowings of just under 1.1 million current and just under 12 million, well 11.8 million relate to water and sewer. So some 13 odd million of that 17 relates to the water and sewer funds. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. I'd like to suggest maybe that we could have a workshop to look more closely at this at some stage. Am I right in thinking that tonight, and I note that these were signed off earlier under our last council, so that it can go to public exhibition?
Through you, Madam Mayor, so the accounts were referred to audit in October of last year. These are the signed annual financial statements for the Hilltops Council. They're not for consultation or consideration. These are our results. The part where we look at the consultation with the community will come in the coming months when we look at the delivery program and operational plan, being the budgets for next year.
Thank you. Thank you for making that clear. I think we've had quite a bit of discussion. Can I put it to the Council that we accept the presentation of the audited financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2021. And if we looked also at the second part, that was A, In accordance with the Local Government Act and the Local Government Regulation, Council adopt the annual financial statements for the year ended 30th of June, including the independent auditor's report, and B, what we spoke about earlier, invite the Audit Office to a future meeting of Council to make a presentation of the financial statements.
I'd like to move an amendment to that. An
Thank
addendum, I beg your pardon, Madam Mayor, an addendum.
An addendum?
That addendum would be quite simple, that the council provide a statement to the community advising of the total loan debt outstanding as at the 30th of the 6th, 2021.
Can I seek a clarification? I don't remember Part B being seconded that the Madam Mayor referred to.
Correct.
There's only Part A here in front of me, and I haven't seen a Part B.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. In my position of Mayor, I will be calling on those more experienced to pull me up whenever needed.
So Councillor Stadmiller moved the motion, and you are happy with B, Councillor Stadmiller, this recommendation. And I actually believe it was you, Tony, who seconded it, wasn't it? Oh, actually, sorry, Alison, Councillor Foreman, you seconded. So are you happy for that B to be part of the motion? Invite the Audit Office to a future meeting of Council to make a presentation of the financial statements. Okay, so that becomes the motion, so you can now put the motion.
All right, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up for us, Mr General Manager.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, what was recommended then? Well, there was an addendum, which would be a C.
An amendment?
An amendment, which is C, which is... Council provide a statement to the total loan debt. So that would be through Councillor Stadmiller. Are you satisfied with...
Councillor Armstrong, just before they do that, would you consider adding to that it explains what the debt is relevant to?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I certainly think that would be appropriate if it stated the particulars of the debt. I believe if we refer back to our operating plan for this current year, we've got particulars of most of that available.
What the debt is applicable to. Yeah.
Is applicable.
Yeah. So,
Question for the Mayor or the General Manager. Are we delving into operational issues here by adding addendums or amendments that ask for media releases to be released?
I'm in your hands, councillors. I think it's just information that to be relayed, but I'm in your hands. Councillor Stadmiller, it's up to you whether or not you accept the addendum.
Mr General Manager, I just remember Councillor Armstrong on a number of occasions over the last term. I've asked questions referring me to particular documents or page numbers and so forth. I'm just wondering why this needs to be explained. I'm happy for it to be explained if councillors feel that it does need to be explained, but if we're going to have every agenda item have to be explained with a media release and direct a series of staff to do their jobs at a micromanagement level, things are going to get very messy very quickly. So I'm happy for it to occur this time round, in that I've moved it, but it needs to be looked at in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Stadmiller. And so, Councillor Foreman, are you happy for that addendum to form part of the motion?
So that would be C?
That would be C. And then therefore it becomes C.
And that would be Council provide a statement to the community of the total loan debt and explains what the debt is applicable to. How deeply does that need to be going into?
Nothing more than what I've explained, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
It's already public information, so
Yep.
you just refer.
Yep. The idea is that we just put it in a form that is more approachable for the community. That's what you're talking about, aren't you?
Thank you.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I think the point is here that there's a huge amount of misinformation that's gone into the community about this. As late as last December, there was commentary on the radio about council having a deficit debt, of $46 million. Now, I've spoken to local government auditors and CPAs, and no one can tell me where this term deficit debt comes from. I can't find any sort of accounting standard that refers to it. It seems to be something that's just made up on the fly. So
Yeah.
I think that given the very clearly the misinformation that's been fed back out to the community, council needs to be proactive in providing the facts rather than the fiction.
Well, thank you, Councillor Armstrong. I agree with you.
Perhaps, Madam
and I
Mayor,
think
that
it will make
if
clear.
the persons in the room who used the term deficit debt is here, maybe they can clarify it. Maybe they know more than all of us.
I think, Councillor Armstrong, we will leave it at that. And
Councillor Stadmiller doesn't want to comment?
Councillor Armstrong, I
Point of
believe that
order.
is my meeting. So, if we...
Point of order. This is Councillor Armstrong here. That's Councillor Ingram.
Oh, point of order taken. Pardon me. I apologise. My
Point of order, can we
apologies.
move on here?
We
Or
certainly
will we
can.
revert to also talking about providing media releases for the announcement of our new Mayor and Deputy Mayor? We didn't do that earlier. I just want to make sure we've got everything covered.
Now you're at your best, Councillor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, councillors. All right, let's have a look at where we're up to, which is EOM 6.7, 2207, presentation of the audited financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2021. We have those three amendments.
We've lost the screen.
They're up there. Oh, we've lost the screen. Yes.
All right.
General Manager will talk to it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have a technical difficulty where the our screen is gone. We are getting technical assistance. So the resolution, the motion has been put by Councillors Stadmiller and Councillor Foreman. A, in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulation 2005, Council adopt the annual financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2021, including the independent auditor's report. B, invite the Audit Office to a future meeting of Council to make a presentation of the financial statements. And C, provide a statement to the community of the total loan debt and explain what the debt is applicable to. That is the motion before you, councillors. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and put it.
We're back on screen. All right, time for me to put it. All right, I put it to the floor. Those in favour, you raise your hands. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. If we move on now to EOM 6.8 22/08, electoral funding obligations of newly elected councillors and mayors. Once again, Mr General Manager, if you'd like to give an explanation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This was actually at the request of the New South Wales Electoral Office to remind all councillors of their obligations. The report is self-explanatory. I will note we are early in January. The disclosure due is the 25th of February 2022. That's your first due date, just for your information. But this is a legislative requirement, an obligation that you must adhere to. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Move the recommendation.
Move the recommendation. All those in favour?
Or second.
Oh, second. Have we a seconder? Seconder there?
Stadmiller.
Yep. Move the recommendation. All those in favour? Any
Unanimous.
against? Unanimous. Can I just make the comment too that for the new councillors, you will be alerted by email when it is due as well. So you'll have plenty of notification. Righto, the next one. And
157.
here we are.
That's it.
Yep, this one. You right? EMO 6.9 2209 Goldenfields Water County Council Board elections. As it states here, Hilltops can have 2 members on this board, and I'd like to thank the 2 members that were on during the last session of council. And once again, we're here to take up the nominations. I think before you you have the paper. Mr. General Manager, would you like to explain to us the procedure?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I stipulated earlier, the regulations governing Goldenfields Water County Council Board is that the voting of board members is through a preferential voting system. So, thank you for your indulgence earlier. What you have now is a ballot paper before you. It is a preferential type part, so there will be a vote. So there are 4 people, there are 11 of you. Should one councillor in that mix get 6 votes out of the 11, they are elected. If they get less than the majority, let's say it's 5, someone gets 3, someone gets 2, and someone gets 1, that one paper, who got that one vote, drops out, and their second preference is then added to one of the further members up the line. So, until someone reaches 6 votes, I will continue doing the count through. So once that happens, that will go through, then you'll be given the ballot paper again. The person who was elected in the first round, they will be not part of, they'll still be on the ballot paper just for the purposes, I don't know. And then you will vote 1, 2 and 3 on your second round. Councillors, is that clear? So for the first ballot, 1 through to 4, and it is preferential, so people that get the vote, the preferential system is the lowest, the person with the lowest first preference then is their second preference goes and is counted further up the tree. Councillor Stadmiller.
Question, Mr. General Manager. Hypothetical one. If I was seeking re-election and I had a fellow councillor, let's say for instance Councillor Piper was seeking election onto Goldenfields County Council, and councillors were to put myself 1 and Councillor Piper 2 and not put 3 or 4, is that a valid vote?
It is a valid paper, but should the your vote can exhaust. So if there's not, once your preferences end, that vote then is exhausted and it's not counted. So then if it is exhausted, it then becomes the person with, if there's someone with 5 and someone with 4 and 1, 5 will get it because they have the majority of the vote. Thank you, Councillor Stadmiller.
Okay, any more questions? Then Councillor.
Sorry.
Councillor Flatman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to, if the General Manager has details, or ask the 2 candidates that the currently previous nominees or members of their number of meetings that are held and what their attendance was during their previous occupation on the board.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just I have no attendance records in relation to the county council of Goldenfields.
Perhaps I could help you, Mr. General Manager.
I'll leave it to the floor. Thank you.
Councillor Ingram.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I'd just like to, before you go ahead, I'd just like to ask the General Manager, is this relevant to this vote? Information?
I suppose it's a performance issue of board members previously. As always, from a councillor to a councillor, the councillor has the opportunity to decline to comment.
And I believe the question can be asked, but once the answer's given, that's the end of it. Okay, Councillor.
Thank you. From the public records for the Goldenfields Water County Council, 2018 to 2021, there was 27 meetings held. Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Stadmiller were our representatives. Councillor Armstrong missed 1 meeting. Councillor Stadmiller missed 7, which equates to missing 25% of those meetings. Thank you.
Councillor Stadmiller, would you like...
Am I meant to
You
respond to
don't-
that, or
you don't need to
was it a
respond.
question or a statement? Or
You don't need to respond if you don't wish to.
I'd like to respond by purely stating that on page 161, I'm sitting there in the middle of a photograph, along with my fellow council board members on Goldenfields Water County Council. We seem to have issues at the previous meeting when issues were brought up around attendance or ability to provide a report or meet the expectations of other councillors regarding a course that was done, and this seems to now be reverting into the first meeting here, and I don't like where it's going. If we were to look at everyone's attendance across meetings, or whether they turned up 15 minutes late or not at all, or for the reasons that they've got, that too takes us down a rabbit hole. If Councillor Ingram has information that he believes is publicly available, that Councillor Armstrong attended one and I attended 7, I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't privy to the emails that were sent around beforehand.
Thank you, Councillor Stadmiller.
Public information.
I think that we have enough discussion going on those avenues. I'd like us to concentrate on what we have to do today.
Madam Mayor, I do see it as relevant, given it's a paid position, to ensure that councillors are aware that if my expectation as a councillor and a voting councillor is whoever is voted in, that they should attend all the meetings they're capable of attending, and I would have thought, and I'm going to say it bluntly, that a 25% non-attendance is not satisfactory if you're to be paid this additional fee.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery, and I presume that you will show by your vote which way you wish to go. So, councillors, we have the vote in front of us. Before we go...
Through you, Madam
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
We spoke earlier about giving some detail about what it meant to be on the board. I think it was a shame we actually didn't do that before we did the nominations, because some people might have been terribly interested in going on the board if they had an idea of what that meant. I mean, it's all sort of too late now, but I think before we vote, perhaps we could ask.
Just through you, Madam Mayor. Look, I apologise that people may have felt that way. Certainly, we can do it. It was more a practical type part to enable us to move through. However, I'm in your hands, councillors. If someone else,
I think it would
like
be
to
useful to provide it for a basic rundown to be provided of what Goldenfields is about and what the obligations are.
Yep.
And-
Uh,
Mr General Manager, could we put a time limit on this?
The code does talk about a 5-minute limit in relation to responding to questions. So if the two councillors who were on the board would like to talk about what their duties were and their roles and responsibilities and their participation, in your hands, Madam Mayor, or in the hands of the two councillors.
Well, as Chair, I'm happy for those two members to talk about their roles. I think everybody would be interested before we vote, but I think we need to keep it impersonal and also focus on the roles, and so that everybody has some idea of the responsibilities that any of these nominees will be undertaken if they are elected. So, Councillor Armstrong, would you like to make a few comments?
I'll defer to Councillor Stadmiller first of all.
Councillor Stadmiller.
Look, I'll go first if Councillor Armstrong's unwilling to go first and would like to defer to me. Firstly, we have a vote during each term of council where, for the first time last time when we became Hilltops Council, 2 delegates were needed to be voted on to Goldenfields Water County Council, and that occurred, and Councillor Armstrong and myself were voted on there. You go there as a representative of Hilltops, but you are there to be a part of the governing body of Goldenfields County Council and to look after their network and the people that are in that, and that includes both the people that have provided water through Goldenfields Water directly and the bulk water suppliers such as Hilltops ourselves here. Goldenfields County Council is all about providing clean and potable water and maintaining the infrastructure to the best of their ability for those people. It's unfortunate that the state government and councils have been unable to keep up with infrastructure that is probably suitable for that infrastructure that Goldenfields is providing with clean water, to then enter that old end-of-life infrastructure in the town networks and still provide water that doesn't meet the expectations of the community. But as a delegate to Goldenfields Water, I've continued on there to do my best to basically talk about the concerns of the people within that catchment area, including residents of Harden at times who have had dirty bath water and have been unable to bath their own children, been unable to drink the water and so forth, and that comes down to a council issue. So there are times where it's a interesting role where you have to work between your role as a councillor and your role as the delegate on Goldenfields. I've thoroughly enjoyed being on Goldenfields, and today I received a phone call from a fellow delegate from Bland who was wishing me well and hoping that I was going to be re-elected to the position. Thoroughly enjoyed working with me, and I thanked her for that. That's about all I have to say.
Madam Mayor,
Thank you, Stadmiller.
could Councillor Stadmiller give us just a summary of a number of council members, the council members to Goldenfields, annual budget, kilometres of pipeworks, and just to give the council a bit of an overview of...
I think...
I think it's relevant, Madam Mayor.
This is getting a bit like an election.
Point of order. I don't think it's relevant. It's to go
yes.
into
I think we were just saying, yes, that we just had 5 minutes just to do your promo, do your pitch.
Madam Mayor,
I tend to agree it's not relevant.
I'm quite happy to respond to those questions.
Well, just before you do, Councillor Armstrong, could I just point something out to Madam Mayor?
Yes, certainly.
It seems to be starting a very early habit of point of order. You might just refer to page 24 of our Code of Meeting Practice. If you're going to call a point of order, you better have the information to back it up. You just can't call point of order for something to do. There has to be a reason for it, and it's listed in our Code of Conduct of our meeting practice, so I just recommend everyone probably have a good read of that. Sorry for Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Councillor Ingram, and I realise that I'm very new to the role, and I'm prepared to take on board any information or any help that is given.
Totally understand, Madam Mayor, and that's just a heads up to you if the council was calling out point of order for something to do.
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I won't read from the glossy brochure that Councillor Stadmiller is reading from there. I'll provide you with some facts straight out of my head. In terms of the pipe network itself, it's the largest pipe network in New South Wales, in excess of 2,400 kilometres of pipe network, extracting water from both groundwater sources and from dams such as Burrinjuck Dam. The water supply that is coming back through to the bulk supply councils is effectively all potable water, and council has Goldenfields has just spent in the order of $10 million upgrading the network between the Jugion water treatment works and the Harden balance tank in round figures. That those works were done in such a manner so as to increase the size of the pipe. The good news for our councillors from Burrawa is that pipe has been increased in size and capacity. As a result of that, there is sufficient capacity able to be pushed back through that pipe to feed a spur line back out to Burrawa. There would be the need for a couple of balance reservoirs along the way, but largely there's certainly the capacity within the pipe network there. The only other issue in that regard is the capacity for water treatment works at Jugion itself. That's a fairly new set of works there. The Board of Goldenfields has very recently resolved to spend some money investigating the capacity of those works. It appears as though they have the ability to provide up to 29 million litres of potable water per day for consumers. So certainly there's a huge amount of capacity in there, which is a good thing. The expected demand was originally in the order of 40 megalitres per day. If it does get to that point, then certainly there'll need to be some significant works done there. As far as communities further west are concerned, Goldenfields has undertaken a $10 million expansion project in the Mandamar area, which is an area of New South Wales that in the past has had no reticulated water supply at all, has seen people carting water in some of the most difficult conditions, and obviously trying to use that water to fight fires when they have to. Goldenfields has constructed this pipe network in 3 phases. In doing so, the board has adopted an approach of doing it themselves, and has delivered those works at about $100 a linear metre below the New South Wales reference rates for water mains extensions and establishments. So it's a huge cost saving for for Goldenfields and the consumers, and it's certainly a great project that pushes it back out into areas where the water supply hasn't been there. On top of that, there's been significant improvements of supply in and around the other areas, such as Culcairn, down as far as Temora. So, for those councils that aren't aware, the bulk councils, being Hilltops, the former Young and Harden Shires, that's the reason we've got 2 representatives rather than 1, and Cootamundra Gundagai, the Cootamundra section only.
Councillor Armstrong, can you wind up your presentation for us?
The councils themselves are responsible for the infrastructure, and Goldenfields is the bulk supplier. For all other local government areas, Goldenfields is the asset owner and the point of supply for potable water.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong, for your explanation. General Manager has just suggested that if anybody else would like to put up their hand to be put on the paper for Goldenfields, we can call a 5-minute break. All it needs is a mover and seconder. Are there any others who would wish to put up their hand? No? Well, in that case...
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to take the opportunity to nominate for board member of...
Okay. Thank you. Jan McKay?
Yep. So at that juncture, what I'd ask is for there to be a mover and seconders to take a 5-minute recess while staff can prepare, redo the ballot papers to include Councillor Mackie.
Is there a mover?
Gerald
and a seconder?
And Hewson. All those in favour?
All right.
Yep.
A 5-minute break.
5-minute break. Thank you.
You've got to have a sense of humour.
Mover and second open the meeting.
Yes. Can I have a mover and seconder to open the meeting? A mover?
Ingram.
Okay.
All those in favour?
All those in favour? Anybody against? No. Okay. All right. Councillors, we have before us the ballot paper for Council Goldenfields Water County Council Board elections. If you'd like to complete, and to Deirdre.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to remind, this is the first vote. We'll then go through the preferential voting, and then once that is all done, we'll have an elected board member 1. Then you'll receive the ballot paper again, notwithstanding that person is on there. Then we will do the process again. Unfortunately, that is the regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, fellow councillors. Let's hope you do too.
Thank you, councillors.
Just goes to show you don't have to turn up.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors. I don't see that as very professional on anybody's part. So thank you, councillors.
So just to remind councillors for this vote, please no numbers in Councillor Stadmiller's box, as it's not relevant. Thank you.
Can I ask if we just start from 1 again, though? No. Yeah,
Yes.
we do
But-
1.
So certainly it's 1 through to 4?
Yep.
1 through to 4, you just won't have a 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors.
Congratulations to our representatives, and I'd like to, I know council is behind you, all councillors are. In our democratic process, you have...
I'm sorry,
have
Madam
won your
Mayor,
seats.
but you made a statement then that isn't quite true.
I would like to think, perhaps I will qualify,
Thank you.
that in the democratic process, we are here to support those that we have elected in a democratic way. And I would like to think that we will show that support in a positive manner. So congratulations to you both.
So through the protocol, we now need to put the have the motion put and seconded, and then voted upon. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
I jumped the gun. Is that what you're saying?
No.
All right. We have here that council, the elected Councillor Stadmiller and Councillor Piper to the Goldenfields Water County Council Board in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulation 2005 Schedule 4. Do I have a mover? And a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour?
We have, can we throw those hands up, please? Yep, we have Foreman, Fitzgerald, Mackie, Rolls, Stadmiller, Hewson, Armstrong, Piper and Dodd.
Those against?
Ingram and Flannery.
Thank you.
Motion's passed.
The motion is passed, and congratulations to our 2 new delegates. So thank you. Yes, our last report, which is, when I find it,
Page 164.
164. What would I do without you, Mr. General Manager? Here we go. 6.10, 2210, Local Government New South Wales Special Conference, 28th of Feb, 2nd of March 2022 at the HYATT Regency in Sydney. The recommendation is before you. Do I have a mover and a seconder? A mover? Thank you. Councillor Hewson. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Piper.
Get the 2 delegates. Are we after 2 delegates?
Oh, pardon me.
Yep, 2 delegates. Yep.
2 delegates. So we'll open the floor to those who wish to be delegates.
Attend the conference.
And can attend a conference. I know in the past I was a delegate once because nobody else could attend, and I think that's there. So
Can you nominate from the floor, or do you?
Just nominate.
Yeah, I'd just nominate our Mayor to be one of the delegates.
thank you. I'd accept that nomination. I would like to go to that conference.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Councillor, Madam Mayor, when you said there was a non-attendance at the Local Government New South Wales Conference, I think you may be incorrect. You attended one in Canberra, but it wasn't Local Government New South Wales Conference.
Oh, pardon me. I stand
corrected. Could you please correct that? Thank you.
Yes, I stand correct. Thank you. Thank you. I will improve, Councillor Ingram.
Question?
Just like to get it right.
Can we nominate for the floor? Because I understand that Councillor Dodd may have been interested, and I just don't want to leave her out if she was. No? Okay,
No.
I'll retract that.
Any...
I'm interested, Madam Mayor,
All right.
in attending.
Alison Foreman has put herself forward too. Any more nominations? Then I will...
Question for the Mayor. Have you nominated yourself yet?
I was nominated and I did accept the nomination.
Thank you. Okay, and Councillor Foreman, so we have 2 nominations.
Yes, we
thank
do.
you.
Do I have...
I'll move that way, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you,
Councillor Rolls and
Councillor.
Councillor Foreman be our delegates at the Local Government New South Wales Conference.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Ingham, and thank you, Councillor Hewson. All those in favour?
Excuse me, sort of, Madam Mayor, to interject. The second part of that recommendation is to
pardon me.
consider the motions to be put forward in the special conference. In preparing this report, the 3 motions that had been put forward are at the bottom of page 164, and these are just as received. There is no debate. These are just as received. That the state government, as a matter of urgency, consider the removal of rate capping so that councils can appropriately respond to their community's needs and future priorities. Rate pegging limits councils' ability to provide local services and maintain the community's infrastructure. The second motion that was received, increased funding by state government to counteract initial underfunding for ongoing financial stability of amalgamated councils. And the third motion received was homelessness, housing issues, support for subsidised public housing.
I think there is another one that needs to be...
That's what I moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Ingram. Yes, Councillor Ingram. Pardon me.
Hewson and Foreman.
Yep. Now, General Manager, you might have to help me here. I know that one of the councillors...
Yeah, I'd like to add a motion to be taken to the local conference.
Yep.
I'm not exactly certain of the wording appropriate, and I'd take advice on this, but what I've written is that the Ministry of Local Government investigate, research, develop and trial an appropriate computer system suitable for all councils in the state. Yeah. I have a number of dot points under that to indicate why it should be that way, but I have it typed out if you...
That'd be great. Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald.
I have a question for you, Mr General Manager. I presume before these become motions they will be put in the correct form?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, there is the... we submit them to the Local Government New South Wales by the 30th of January of this year, as is, and they just read from the Hilltops Council. These are what we would like considered, and that happens across the state from all of the councils. Councillor Ingram?
The motion and the recommendation reads that we consider motions to be put forward, and the motion just mentioned will be considered, and any other motions that are put to council at the relevant time will be considered. I think the recommendation covers it off pretty well.
Yes, I agree with you, Councillor Ingram. I don't need to read this out, do I? No. All right, so we will put it to the floor. Oh, did I have a mover? Yes,
Yes,
I
you
did.
did.
I did, of course, pardon me. And I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? Those against?
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Well, thank you, everybody. I think that is the last item on our agenda today.
Meeting closed at
Meeting closed.
6:18.
Yes, before we close, can I thank everybody for their forbearance with a new chair here, and I'm certainly relying on the experience of our seasoned councillors here, and look forward to working with everybody within council. And finally, I think that's it. Are we still? Okay, we'll close the meeting. Thank you.